What is going on, awesome peeps? Brent McCluskey here with Electrified Reviews, and today we are reviewing the Ride1Up Roadster V2 electric bike. This thing is really, really cool. Very excited to show this to you. It only weighs 32 pounds, first of all, and it's $995, under $1,000, belt drive, a lot of cool stuff. We're gonna dive into specs, but of course, first things first, let's roll the B-roll. All right, awesome peeps. Again, this is the Ride1Up Roadster V2 electric bike right here. This is the, I think, second or third bike we have reviewed from Ride1Up. These guys offer just really, really good value e-bikes here at pretty affordable prices. This thing right here, the Roadster V2 starts for $995. So $995 USD, just a hair under $1,000 USD. And man, that price point is pretty sweet. It's hard to go wrong with that price point. This is a really cool bike for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the weight of this thing is just unbelievable. It's only 32 pounds. It's incredibly lightweight. It's very stealthy under the radar. As you guys can probably see, there's really no battery like that you can see. It's an internal battery. It's going to be inside the frame here, so you can't really tell that it's electric unless you know what you're looking for. Of course, you can spot the motor back here, but most people at first glance are not even going to know this is electric. So for me, I kind of like that because I like the stealthy bikes. I just think they look cool. It's just a really cool vibe for me. Something that I like about Ride1Up here is their warranty is really good as well, especially for that $1,000 price point. They've got a 30-day return policy for this bike, or for all their bikes, and also a 1-year comprehensive warranty, which is just honestly kind of ridiculous for an e-bike under $1,000. So yeah, let's dive into the specs here on this bike. We'll start back here at the motor on the Roadster V2 right here. This is going to be a 350 watt nominal motor right here in the back, just a little guy, 350 watts nominal power, 500 watts of peak power. It's going to give you enough juice. It's going to give you enough oomph to get up some moderate hills, but really this thing is kind of geared for flatter ground, not so much hills, and pavement. That's what this is, a pavement pounder. That's what this bike is really geared towards, that lifestyle kind of fixie vibe. Of course, you can backpedal, so it's not a true fixie, but if you guys are into the fixies, you're going to like this. So 350 watts of power right here, that's going to be a real kind of easy sipper on the battery compared to like a 500 watt nominal 750, 1000. We're just going to draw more power. Of course, you're not going to get as much oomph out of it, but that's kind of the benefit of having a less powerful motor is it's going to give you more range here. Now, this motor right here is going to bring this bike up to a top speed of 22 miles per hour. You'll see there is no throttle up here on the handlebars. So the only way to reach that top speed is going to be with the pedal assist. This is going to be a cadence sensing pedal assist right here. Now, this bike is a single speed, like we were saying, and it's a belt drive, which is just, I don't know, man, like the belt drives are just so sleek. They're so beautiful. Some of the benefits of the belt drives here is they're going to be just so quiet, the operation. I mean, you really can't hear this thing when it's running. It's just silent, man. Another great thing about belt drives is you're not going to get a derailment. I mean, if you get a derailment, you go buy a lottery ticket. I mean, that's how unlikely it is that you're going to get a derailment here on a belt drive. Last thing about the belt drives that's really cool is they are very durable, so you don't have to replace them very often at all, and they're very clean as well. So compared to like a chain where you got a lot of grease on it, if you're wearing pants, if you're riding it to work or something, with a chain drive, you might get some grease or some junk on your pants. With a belt drive, that's just not really going to happen because it's a much, much cleaner operation. So I love the belt drives. And with the cadence sensor here, a lot of times, you'll hear me gripe about the cadence sensors having latency. from the time that you start and stop pedaling to the time that the motor activates and deactivates. And yeah, we have the same thing going on here. The latency is a little bit more pronounced, or it can be more pronounced with single speeds, because you're going to be in that high gear always, even at a stop. So remember, the cadence sensors, it's going to measure the rotation of the cranks, right? So if you're at a dead stop, you're in that high gearing, it's going to take a second for the magnets to register the motion because your cranks are moving slowly compared to something with gearing. You can be in first gear, you're going to pedal more fast, you're more quickly at lower speeds. So hopefully that makes sense there. All right, so the battery here for the Roadster V2 is going to be an internal battery. It's internal. Inside the frame, it's going to be a 36 volt, 7 amp hour battery for a max estimated range of about 35 miles. And 35 miles may sound like kind of a high estimate for just a 7 amp hour battery, which is a little bit below average capacity. But remember, we are dealing with a 36 volt system, first off, and a 350 watt motor compared to the higher wattage of 500, 750, 1000 watts and above. And like I was saying earlier, these 350 watt motors and the 250, they're power sippers compared to power gulpers. So they really do help maximize your range here for this. And of course, like we always say, the max estimated range is just that. It's an estimate of what the maximum possibility is for the range here. And it's just like a car, we've got the EPA for the highway miles and of course the city driving. Depending on how you drive this bike, what pedal assist level you're in, how much you're pedaling, if you have a lot of hills you're tackling, stuff like that, wind resistance, tire pressure, there's a bunch of stuff that factors into max range. But I think the 35 mile max range for the Roadster V2 is actually a pretty accurate estimate. Tires here, big fan of this. It's nice to see something different than the fat tires we've been seeing a lot. It's just kind of nice to see the kind of skinny road tires again. It's kind of back to basics. Really, really like that. And again, that's what this bike is really all about. It's just the basics, right? The most essential components that you need and nothing else. So yeah, now for the brakes here, speaking of essential, this is going to be V-brakes. V-brakes in the front and the back. So stopping power is going to be, I would say, moderate, but plenty for a top speed of just 22 miles per hour. You know, would I like to see disc brakes? Of course, disc brakes have more stopping power compared to V-brakes, but you know what? V-brakes have come a long way. I mean, V-brakes have been out, man, since I was a kid. Like, one of my first bikes, like, I mean, just years and years ago was V-brakes. I mean, these things have been around forever, and they have gotten better over time. So these are fine brakes. You know, they're just not as powerful as disc brakes, but again, this is under $1,000. It makes sense they're going to go with that choice for the component here. Now on the other side, the brake levers here, I just want to show these guys too. This is going to be Tektro brake levers, rubberized grips here on the outside. So it's kind of a nice, firm, nice grippy. It's a good grip purchase with these brake handles or these brake levers. I like these brake levers quite a bit. You'll see there's only one cable coming out here, and that's going to be the cable for the mechanical pulling of the brake here. There's no motor inhibitors. Not a big deal because this is a 22 mile per hour top speed. I think it would still be good to have brake or motor inhibitors built in at some point in the future just for that extra bit of safety, because what motor inhibitors do is basically whenever you hit the brakes, motor inhibitors are going to instantly cut power to the motor, and it's going to ensure that you have the shortest possible stopping distance. That's what the motor inhibitors do. So it's a good safety feature, but again, 22 mile per hour top speed, is it really necessary in this? Probably not. Oh, you know what? I got to show you guys this. So look, the basics, right? It's back to basics, okay? There's not even a kickstand on this bike. So you'll see here, I've got this thing propped up with a little stick, okay? I got this little stick right here. Can it focus? Come on. There we go. Well, kind of. Got this little stick right here. That's what I'm using to prop up this bike because there is no kickstand. You can probably put a kickstand right here if you wanted to. There is a Boss. I'm sure you could attach one, again, if you really want that. But, I mean, this is a basic bike, yes. But I think another reason this is trying to be a basic bike here is because I think they're trying to keep it as light as possible. This thing, again, it only weighs 32 pounds, man. It's an incredibly lightweight e-bike, and it's just 32 pounds is significantly lighter than the average e-bike. Typically, we're looking at about 50 pounds. That's the average, but it can be upwards of 60, 70, 80 pounds, as I'm sure you guys have seen some of our reviews. Some of these e-bikes are really heavy here. So I want to go to the display real quick on this bike. Talking about simplicity, this display is indeed quite simple. I'll try to turn it on without knocking over the bike. Okay, so to turn it on, it's just a long press of this little orange button right there at the top. You see the display comes to life. Pretty basic. Now here's the thing, this display is small, and the reality is you can't see it very well in direct sunlight, especially if you have polarized sunglasses on, I noticed. My sunglasses are polarized, and when I put them on and try to look at the screen, unless I like tilt my head so the polarization isn't blocking the screen out, it makes it hard to, it basically just blacks it out. So, you know, that is what it is there. A couple buttons on the display, not a lot, just the up and down arrow on the bottom here for the pedal assist level. So you can go from off and all the way up to 5. Go back down, back to off. I think if you hit this button right here, yeah, it'll switch. There's a few little things you can switch to. Clock, average speed, max speed, and then back to just the current speed right there. You'll notice I'm being very gentle as I'm touching that display because, like I said, I don't want to knock this bike over. So I think that's it, awesome peeps, for the review here of the Ride1Up Roadster V2. It's time now to take this beautiful e-bike out for a test ride. So here we go. All right, awesome peeps, that is it for the review of the Ride1Up V2 Roadster right here. In summary, again, this thing does start for $995 USD, just under $1,000 bucks, and honestly, it is a pretty good value buy for what you're getting. Look, basically, this is a stripped down, essentials only, basic electric bike. You're only getting the absolute, like, the absolute most essential components, and that's about it. And that's why it's only $995. Like we talked about, it does have that very sweet belt drive for that really quiet operation. It's very clean, very good feeling like you're connected to the bike. It's not a true fixie, of course, because you can backpedal, but if you guys like the fixie vibe, you're gonna like this because it has that vibe when you're riding it. Just the simplicity of, like I'm saying, like the stripped down, like it's got a motor, it's got a battery, and that's pretty much it. It has a display, yes, it's really small, like we talked about. There's no gears on it. It's just a really simple, easy to use bike. This is going to excel really only for city riding, urban riding, neighborhood, whatever. But look, first and foremost, this is not really a gravel bike. Can you take this off-road? Yeah, you can probably go on some light trails with it, whatever. But really, this is a road bike. And again, because it is a fixie, like we talked about, this is really going to excel for flatter ground city riding, medium range commutes. Like we talked about, that 7 amp hour battery, we've got the 35-mile range. It's not bad. You've got plenty of range to do pretty much whatever you want to. So yeah, it's a fun bike for the city, and it's just a joy to ride. And at $995, like, it's honestly, it's kind of hard to go wrong. So awesome peeps, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope you enjoy this review. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.